I will say that those links are backwards. Why does that happen though? Well, it's the reason why we should never click links on emails. Here's the source code. Notice how Apple.com has Microsoft as text. Notice how Microsoft has Apple as the text. So that was something I briefly touched on last time, but didn't formally present as a slide. Some other cool stuff. What do people use for their browser? Well, we have W3 Schools, which kind of tells us what everyone uses. So right now, most of the population uses Airnext or Firefox, which is good. Firefox is truly better. And then Chrome's coming up. That's because Chrome is really good, and I actually prefer Chrome now. But then Internet Explorer also has a fair amount of market share. So usually if you develop for Internet Explorer, Firefox, and Chrome, so your website looks good in these three, usually you can get it to look good in Safari and Opera without any additional work. Internet Explorer is definitely the biggest challenge making your website look good. So that's the one I typically start developing for, and then I'll develop for Firefox or Chrome. And then hopefully by the time I'm done, everything works. Couple cool sites also. Acid tests, how good is the browser? Internet Explorer does really bad at these. And Wayback Machine, which will show your website a long time ago. So now we're moving into Photoshop. And that means I really should look into getting Photoshop right. So this boots. Alright. Nice. Apple has a nice website. Microsoft has a nice website. That isn't pure HTML. That's graphics put on to a web page, and HTML simply positions everything to look really nice. So that's why we need Photoshop. And we can also use the free version GIMP, but I never started with GIMP, so I'm not really great at using it. But I do realize that some of us can envision and create a nice website from scratch and make it look nice, and can look at famous film. So, for those of us who can envision, here's Template Monster, which has millions and millions of pre-made websites that are all set to go for Photoshop. You pay roughly $30 to $60 for each one, and you download it, you buy it, download it, open up in Photoshop, and then you can make your website the way you want it to look. And everything typically works pretty decent. So, Template Monster exists, there's others out there. So now, the Photoshop demo, we're still waiting on Photoshop to load, but basically we're going to use the famous Fill template, or one that I created a long time ago, and we're basically going to load it into a web page, make it look nice, add some text to it, and then make it look nice and out. So basically we're going to use the existing code from famousfill.com because I've spent hours getting everything to align perfectly, and hopefully we can have this done fairly quick. So, waiting for Windows to load is always fun. I know that Photoshop requires admin access, which is why I'm not using the built-in computer. I really love how Windows just works like that. I think it's probably one of the nicest programs that never worked during a presentation I've ever had to use. So, probably doesn't help that it's virtualized either. Questions? All right. Here it comes. slow Photoshop is. It's probably one of the most bloated programs that you can buy. I know that if you buy the CD in the Master Collection, it's only 12 gigabytes to install. The only thing that's bigger is my Flight Simulator, which was 70. So in Photoshop, we can open up files using Open from the File menu. Since I'm running as administrator, I'm not on my real desktop, so I gotta go through this process to get to it. But basically, if I go in and I open up my build, basically for FamousFill, I have an SVN repository that I commit to, and basically that stores my entire website. And that way, it's a great way to back up your website. So if you keep your website as a repository and just commit to it when you make a small change, if you make a change to your website that you don't like, repositories allow you to go back in time. So you just revert to a previous version of your website. So that's usually a helpful hint that I will tell some people that get up to the stage where they're having problems changing their website and they're running into problems with it not working. So, Control and scroll will typically make your Photoshop thing go bigger, although I don't know what the control key is. There it is. Ooh, I don't like that. So anyways, let's just try 60 here. Good. So here's the FamousFill template. It's already made and everything. I'm just assuming that everything's made already and everything's great. So now, there is on the side here something called the slice tool. And once you get your website the way you think it's going to look, you usually go to the slice tool, and then you slice up your images to where everything is a piece of your website. So I usually slice up the navigation bar into one whole bar. I usually grab just the header, and then usually a widget, different size widget, and then the footer. So those are the only images I really care about. But I need a header, I need a middle, and then I need the bottom. In HTML, I know for a fact that I can make the middle repeat on and on. And since this here is just wasted space, I want this to dynamically expand as required for the data that's going into it. I just make it a pixel and I expand it. Same thing with the main background of the website. I just take a little piece of it and I have it repeat all the way down to the bottom of the screen. So that's basically what we need to do is slice up the image, and then now that it's sliced, we export it. And we'll also learn about how CSS sprites really help with load time, because you kind of want to keep your slices minimal, otherwise your site will load lots and lots of little images, and it'll take forever to load your website. So if you go to File and you go to Export, there's something called, or rather, File Saved to Web and Devices. It'll bring up a new window that will then give you lots of options on the side here. Although the projector can't really show it all, the only thing that you really have to worry about is selecting how you want to save it. So you can save them as JPEG, PNG, and bitmap. Usually I go with Ping24 because it has the best quality and the smallest size. And quality is everything. If you ever look at Apple's site, they're all about the quality. They don't care about load time. But JPEG is another great way to sacrifice just a little bit of quality for a nice looking website. So FamousFill is mostly JPEG, although there is some Ping24 in there. Then once you do that, you're just going to go to the save, which is at the bottom, and save all the images. And after that's done, here, it'll bring up this box here to save. And now we just select the location to save it to. And then we can do HTML and images if we want, so that Photoshop will generate some HTML for us to place images on the screen. And then we just want to export however many slices we want. If we want just the slices that we made, we can select our user slices or whatever. So for now, I'm just going to cancel. Hopefully I can pull this off. And then we're going to use the pre-made image I've already created. To make this work. So basically, I've already exported everything I need for the images. So now I have build 11, which when I go to it, it loads famousphil.com's Photoshop template. Not really anything special about it. It's just a pure image placement from Photoshop, and it was created automatically. View the source. It just shows a bunch of images. So now, how the heck do we take all these images and how do we make them work through CSS and HTML? Well, this is where the fun part starts. Hopefully I have Vim on here, which I do. That's good. There's a Vim version for Windows. Now I'm just going to start stealing stuff from the existing website to make this go a little bit quicker. So if you go to my existing website, famousphil.com, everything's already in HTML compliant stuff. So I can view the source or view in Chrome. I believe the same is true for Firefox. And then what we do is we have to view the CSS file too. Because CSS, remember, is tied heavily into HTML to style your page. So here's the CSS for Famous Phil. We're basically going to go through how to make everything line up. So the first thing we want to do is probably make a title tag, get some default styling, make the CSS work, and that's probably about it for our mock-up version. We're also going to use StrictX HTML because that's what Famous Phil was originally created in. So basically, in Vim, if you type in D, a number, and D again, it'll delete that many lines. So if you type in D90D, it'll eliminate everything for this. Then what I'm going to do is just